Well, hello there, and welcome to this episode of the Terri Cole Show. That I want to start with a question. How do you feel about unconditional love? We've all been indoctrinated into these beliefs that, love is never having to say you're sorry, and that, real love needs no boundaries, and real love is unconditional. Well, I don't know how you feel about that, but in today's episode, I'm going to talk about how I don't actually believe in that. And I'm going to give you ideas of what healthy, conditioned love looks like, because I think that it sets us all up for better experiences if we are dealing in actual reality. And a lot of this unconditional love stuff, I don't think is reality. It's just not the way humans are wired. So before we get into it, if you happen to be new to my YouTube channel, hey, make sure that you introduce yourself in the comments, because we are a friendly group, I can tell you that much. And make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the bell icon so that you get notified every time I roll out something new, which is every Tuesday and every Thursday. And since I make it all for you, I certainly wouldn't want you to miss it. I also love all the questions and comments that you guys leave. This is a very active community, and I love to highlight them. So today I'm highlighting a comment under the video, setting boundaries at any time, scripts you can use. And this is from Val Billen. Thanks for all your advice. I love watching you and have for years. You're like the super wise, strong, loving, compassionate mother I wished I'd had. Love you. Well, that is so sweet for you to say that. I am sending love right back to you. And listen, I'm happy to be anybody's virtual good mama if you didn't happen to have a good mama. If that's the vibe you get from me, excellent. I am happy to fill that role for you. All right, let's move it on into today's content. So let's start with the question. Does unconditional love exist? Like, does it actually exist? And is it a thing in the world? And if it is a thing, is it a thing that should be aspirational for us? Is it something that we should be looking for in our relationships? So somebody in our group wrote in and asked me if she should be striving for unconditional love in her dating life, and that so far she has not had any luck. But it's something that really, when you think about a lot of the ways that we've been set up with Disney movies and fairy tales and all the things that we learn about love, there is this underlying vibe that conditional love is bad. And I really think it's where you sit and what you mean by conditional love. So the real question for you to ask yourself is, do you believe that for love to be real and delicious and amazing and juicy, that you need to accept someone totally unconditionally? Because that's really what we're talking about. And I think that this illusion of unconditional love is fueled by unrealistic goals, right? Where we might be looking for something that doesn't exist. And this may seem like semantics or splitting hairs, but it's really not, because I've seen so many women in my therapy practice and in my courses really struggle with the concept of unconditional love. So I think that this is a myth that is worth dispelling. In this episode, I'm going to be tackling what you might want instead of striving for unconditional love. So from a therapeutic perspective, right? Love without limits or love without conditions is actually really unhealthy, right? It can set us up to be codependent, self-sabotaging, or self-abandoning. Like, all of those things happen when we feel like we have to be 100% accepting. So if you're striving for unconditional love, right, you might be reticent to express a preference or say no, set a limit with someone, because if you see your own boundaries or boundary preferences as conditions, that might make you feel like it's wrong or it's selfish or that you should love your person without any conditions. This can create guilt. It can create shame. So think about it this way, that having conditions in your relationships, this does not make you demanding, right? It makes you someone with good boundaries. It makes you discerning. When it boils down to, unconditional love is really like love without boundaries. That's sort of what we're talking about. And obviously at this point in life and in my career, you all know how I feel about boundaries. They are so important and they are necessary, but they're a foundational piece of any kind of healthy, vibrant love relationship, we must have our boundaries. This becomes the foundation that solid love, real love, is built on. So, in my opinion, I do not think that unconditional love, quote unquote, is aspirational. It has to have conditions if it's going to last and if it's going to be epic. And that's the truth, right? If you don't have any conditions about how others will treat you or vice versa in your love life, it means that you don't have boundaries. So we don't want that. We know that we need to set limits. We need to be clear about what our preferences, desires, limits, and deal breakers are in our relationship. And I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, that is having conditions, so to speak. But for a lot of people, I think the word condition has like a negative connotation, right? It's like a dirty negotiating tactic or something. All right, I'll do it, but on one condition, right? Like that's what I think of when I think of conditions. But that's really not what we're talking about here. We're really talking about having standards and having boundaries. So the question in relationships is, how do you start to have healthy, boundaried love, especially if you're dating? So the first step is to start to understand if you have limiting beliefs in your mind about the way real love should be, right? Because a lot of times we're putting this on ourselves, like I should be more forgiving or more loving or more understanding. And I get so many emails, you guys, from you, people, asking me questions about if you have a right to your boundaries. And of course, my answer is yes. And you don't only have a right to them, you have an obligation. So I think that looking at the unconscious material that might be in the basement of your mind, right, around love and conditional love, that is the first step. So in this week's guide, I'm giving you some questions that you can ask yourself to sort of make clear, what did you learn about love? Sort of these therapeutically designed questions that I always give you to sort of help you excavate the information in your own subconscious mind. Because if we don't know what's in there, that can keep us stuck in behaviors that we don't even understand why we're doing them. So go to terricole.com/guide and you will see all of that. So let's move into what are some relationship traits that are healthy? What does that look like? So with boundaried love, you want to be able to be vulnerable with your partner. You want each person to respond with empathy and encouragement, right? And even when the going gets rough, that's when you want to be more and more gentle with each other. You really want to create a safe space between you for one another to share your best and your worst moments, right? Without feeling like you're going to be judged or shamed. And again, these are boundaries. So we're talking about, I guess it could fall into the category of these are sort of conditions that you're going to be kind to each other. That is a boundary. That is a condition that you can tell one another the truth, right? And have uncomfortable, conscious conversations that no matter how mad you get with your partner or they get with you, that you're kind of always on the same team, that you don't turn on each other, right? We're allowed to get angry in our relationships. But these are behavioral boundaries that we're talking about, that someone's not going to just lose their shit and like throw something across the room, right? These are behavioral boundaries. I've done different blogs on fair fighting and those types of things. But again, these are conditions and they must exist if the relationship is going to thrive and be healthy. Another thing that I think is super important in relationships is that you have the ability to be sorry and that you can say it to each other, right? And that you can like sort of give it up to your person when you're wrong, but that nobody is taking advantage of that. It's like with Vic and I make sure to apologize early and often when I'm wrong, which is all the time, of course, because I'm just human like everybody else. But rather than being defensive, it's like I'll go out of my way to say, you know what, you're right. The other day I said that place closed, I thought it closed for business. You said it was still open. You're right. Actually, they are still open. And not like because I'm telling on myself, but because it's okay to be wrong. And the more you normalize admitting when you're wrong and having your person admit when they're wrong, the better the relationship is, the more durability we create with that, the more flexibility we create with that. So it's really important. And we have to have a safe space where we're allowed to be sorry. Some days we're not going to be our best. That's it. That's life. And so again, it doesn't mean we're always going to do it perfectly, but there has to be room for forgiveness within a relationship. And again, I'm not talking about a repeat offender. I'm not talking about someone being abusive and you forgiving that. I'm talking about just regular, everyday, like we make mistakes in our relationships. This is just being human. And you have to actively work to build trust or to rebuild trust in a relationship. I think that in healthy relationships, we're more committed to being loving than we are committed to being right. And that's hard because I got to tell you, I like being right. I really do. And it's taken years of me really sort of wrestling with my own ego around needing to be right. Another really important aspect to lasting love, according to me, is having deep empathy for the other person, even if you don't understand why they feel the way they do, because you don't have to understand that. And I think that this is something that a lot of my clients have talked to me about, that they'll have a partner who says, you have no reason to feel that way, or that doesn't make sense. And here's the thing. It doesn't have to make sense to them. Like, you don't need someone else's permission to feel the way that you already feel, right? What you need is that person to care. And what you need to do is to care about how your partner feels, even if you don't fully understand it. Because when you have deep empathy for each other, there's this sense of home, right? It's like there's this sense of safety that is created in an empathic relationship. I like to say that in my marriage, we've worked over the years to create a really soft space to land over and over again in a pretty hard world. Like, you want your relationship to be the respite. You want it to be the calm in the storm. You want it to be the place that nurtures you, nourishes you, kind of fills up your bucket. And when we're in bad relationships, that's not what it is. When we're in unhealthy relationships, it's, just being in your home can make your blood pressure rise. Just being near that person can make your heart beat fast in a not good way, in an anxious way. So it's kind of amazing the worlds that we create with other people in our lives. But you have the power, with conditioned and boundaried love, to create a safe and sacred space. Another aspect of healthy love is wanting to bring out the best in each other. Have you ever been in a relationship where the person brought out the worst in you? I certainly have. I've had friendships too that have done that, where I'll spend time with someone and realize that whenever I was with, this is years ago, but still, whenever I was with that person, I was always like gossiping and talking shit about other people, which I don't like doing. I just don't like it. But I would see that that was like this, almost the only thing I did with that friend who I'm not friends with anymore. And I was like, wow, I'm not blaming her for, my part in that, right? Because I did that myself. I was participating, but it was someone who brought out that shadow part or brought out that lower part of me. And I realized that's all I did when I was with that friendship. We didn't have much else in common, which is probably why that's what we talked about. But it was not hard to end that friendship, And in a love relationship, what we really want is, you want your partner, to the best of your ability, to inspire you to be better than you would be without them. Step outside of your comfort zone. Hopefully your partner inspires you to step into your greatness, to do great things. They believe in you. They're sitting in the front row, clapping, and you're doing the same for them. In a healthy relationship, that's what we're doing. Another really important part, and this also is boundaried and quote unquote conditioned, is healthy interdependence, right? So it's different than codependence. And with interdependent relationships, you have your own life. They have their own life. And then together you make a doubly beautiful life. I remember before I met Vic, my husband, that I was so clear that I wanted someone who had a big career, because even though at that moment in time, I had a very successful career as a talent agent. I was just becoming a therapist when Vic and I got together. But I knew in my heart of hearts that I was going to create something, because that's what I do. And I wanted someone who wasn't going to be threatened by the success that I figured was probably going to come if I just stayed the path. I mean, that was 25 years ago, you guys. So it's not like it's not based on a lot of hard work. But I knew that I needed someone who had their own career so that they wouldn't resent my career, because I knew that I was committed to having a big career. And I am, because what is that about? It's about impact, wanting to help as many people on this planet while I am alive as I possibly can, to lessen their own suffering and elevate their own joy. And that's it. That's why I do it. But I had other relationships with people where they weren't really passionate about what they did. So they resented me being so passionate about what I did, right? And people would look at Vic and I and still think we're probably both workaholics, and maybe we are. We do work a lot, both of us. But we're both super passionate about what we do. So what's great for me is, he doesn't feel threatened by anything that I do, and vice versa. But it's so fun to be able to be in the front row of Vic being, a celebrated expert in his field. It's so awesome. It makes me so proud. And I love that it's not about me. I love to be able to be there for him. So there's a certain amount of healthy interdependence that I consciously sought out, because I'd had unhealthy, codependent, and then relationships where I was hyper independent. And really with Vic, it took years, and both of us having tons of therapy to get here. But I feel like we do have a healthy interdependence. So in the guide, you will see terricole.com/guide. I've given you a list. I've given you questions. So I just want to get you moving on understanding your own sort of downloaded blueprint around what you think about conditional love or unboundaried love, let's say. I also want to make sure that you know that at the end of this month, the 24th, we start Real Love Revolution, my 12-week course all about love. So if you are single and you're looking for love, it's for you. And if you're in a relationship and you know it could be better, Real Love Revolution is for you. Or if you're in a relationship and you think you want to leave, Real Love Revolution is for you. Because the truth is, this is a 12-week, a deep dive, 3 months. It's one of my signature courses. I only teach it once a year. And I love this course so much. So if you want healthier, better love in your life, think about taking Real Love Revolution. All the information you need is in the show notes. In the meantime, let me know your thoughts on this episode. I would love to know them. I hope you guys have the most amazing week. And as always, take care of you.